right, Good Blue, Bad Blue, we're back. I'm Justin,
Brandon here.
and we're here with, I guess, an NCAA tournament prediction show. I guess first and foremost, let's go ahead and talk about the ACC tournament that just came out because we did predict that last week, and boy, did we do bad.
I have not a lot to really talk about on my end as far as the Duke side of things, but I have plenty to talk about the tourney.
Yeah, it was.
That's for sure.
Yeah, it was actually a really good tourney. First time ever that a team won 5 games in 5 days. Actually, only second time in like history of NCAA. The other team that did it was UConn,
2011.
who won the title, the national title. So maybe we'll. Do you think that's a possibility?
No.
No, I don't think so either. But yeah, so congrats to State. First time they've won any title in my lifetime. So there's that. Carolina made it further than I had predicted because I had them losing in the semifinals. Duke, I don't really know what happened to them.
They're a mess.
Yes, very much
They
so.
are an absolute mess right now, and hopefully they can figure something out between now and Friday, because otherwise I don't see it getting any better.
No, yeah, I agree with you. Let's see. I guess, man, I don't like. Do you feel worse about Duke now after that ACC tournament appearance and performance?
I did until NC State won the tourney.
Yeah.
That helped a little bit.
Well, yeah, it always helps
But
to lose to the champion.
it does, but okay, and I'm going to give them their credit. You know what? What they did was incredible. All right. They had a very not good season.
No,
But
well,
they
good for them.
it was good for them at the end. They found a way to backdoor Pittsburgh and maybe one or two other teams out of the tourney.
Yeah,
But losing to the champ, NC State played good ball, man. Gosh, they played some good ball. DJ Burns is a man among kids.
yeah. It really makes you wonder if there was just bad coaching that held them down all year. I
You
mean,
got to think about that maybe a little bit. I
Yeah.
mean, not having DJ Horn also didn't help him either in a few games.
yeah,
but
he missed a few.
their bench players and their role players really, really stepped up. They hit big shots. They played great defense.
Oh, well, yeah, they always play pretty good
I
defense,
mean,
though, I feel like.
You held Duke to 69 points. You held
Yeah.
North Carolina to 76 points.
Yeah.
I will say this: they should send the shooter from the guy who shot McNeely.
Yeah, yeah.
They should send McNeely a dozen roses, 12 buffalo wings,
That-
gift card,
Dude, how.
because they are literally. I can't even get my fingers close enough together to measure. They're one free throw away from not being here at all.
I mean, how lucky were they to win that game? And then the guy makes the shot off the backboard. I mean, that was just.
That shot maybe had less than a 5% chance of going in because of how high he arced it, where it hit on the glass, and the fact that he toilet bowled
Yeah.
the rim and put it in.
It's the definition of a prayer. He threw up a prayer and it went in. Definition of a prayer.
2 prayers, an 86% free throw
Oh, yeah.
shooter. By the way, I think that's right on the same exact level as R.J. Davis. So it's safe to say this guy shoots free throws as well as R.J. Davis does. Okay, missing the front end of a 1-and-1 with what, 4 point?
Something, yeah.
It was,
A couple seconds, yeah.
not a lot of time, and
No, it was.
man, but you know what? It happened. We're here, and
Oh, yeah.
they're in.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Duke is questionable now going into the NCAA tournament. What do you think about Carolina? Has your opinion changed or theirs any after
No,
losing the ACC
no,
tournament?
not at all. That NC State team was so smoking hot.
Yeah.
They had lost to Carolina twice. They looked more motivated in that game than they did with Duke or Virginia or Syracuse.
Well, Carolina has swept them in the regular season 15 out of 20 years, and they're now, I think, 55-14 in the last 69 meetings.
Remember, you're not a rivalry post.
Yeah,
That's where you should have aimed it.
No, yeah, State is. I mean, yeah, I don't. It's funny because I hate State, but they never. Yeah, that's definitely not a rivalry at all. But no, they were extra motivated. But I feel more confident about Carolina now after that term. Even though they lost, they made it further than I predicted,
Mm-hmm.
and I like their chances a lot. What do you think about Carolina's seeding? They got the 1 seed in the West.
They got it right.
You think they got it right?
I do. Because all right. So
Do you think though that seeding is good for them though with that bracket, or do you think they
all love their bracket.
Do you think they would have been better off being the 2 seed, like in the East with Purdue?
No,
No?
definitely. Do you give me a choice of playing Arizona, Baylor, or their 4 seeds, Alabama?
Alabama,
Which
yeah.
okay, so listening to numerous ESPN sports talk heads talk about Alabama being a problem for Carolina, I just don't see that.
No.
This Alabama team, they're good. They're pretty good.
They're not the same as last year.
No, they're nowhere near it. Plus, I mean, the SEC was very comparable to the ACC. They were a little stronger at the top, than the ACC was. But as far as a whole, they were very similar.
Agreed.
And they just didn't do anything to impress me. If there's one 4 seed that actually impresses me, it was Auburn.
Oh, yeah.
But they got put into the bracket of death.
Yeah.
So, which I'm sure we'll talk more about that part of it.
Well,
here,
I actually don't think that is the toughest.
No,
but we will get into that.
You really okay? I look forward to hearing this.
We'll get into that shortly. But Duke's ranking, they're a 4 seed. Do you think it's correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think they actually nailed that one right on the head.
Yeah, I think they did, and I just want to go ahead and mention, on our very first show that we did, when we were kind of talking about both of our teams, the one thing I had to say about Duke was Shire might not be a great coach. And now, if he doesn't make it out of this first weekend, are you starting to come to my side of that argument a little more? Because on the very first show, you were very against me even mentioning that. Like, you were like, oh, no, he's a great coach. And I was like, well, he
Did I say great?
Well, you said no, he's not you were like he's not I was like he might not be a good coach, and you're like, oh no, not at all, like you're totally wrong. And then I was like, well, he has a lot of high recruits. I mean, on paper they should be a top 10 team last year and this year. And so I'm just throwing it out there. If they lose first or second round, do you kind of lean towards my side a little
on
bit?
A temporary status? Yes.
Yeah.
You have to remember after a year. Now, obviously, this is many moons ago. But they were so Mike Krzyzewski was this close to being ran out of Duke. He had a horrible record. He wasn't even close to getting anywhere near a tourney. I mean, they were losing games by 30 or 40 consistently in the very beginning of his tenure. So, but no, I think Shire, first off, he had huge footsteps to fill.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, in that situation, whoever took that job on was going to be compared to one of the top 5, in my opinion, top 3 greatest college coaches that's ever coached.
Yeah.
Dean Smith, Bob Knight, Coach K. Not necessarily in that order.
And Wooden. Don't forget Wooden.
Okay, probably. Okay, so top 4 coaches for sure. So with Shire, he's really got, big shoes to fill, a lot of expectations there. But I think there is a lot of mismanagement of his players because this team does have really serious talent. Filipowski's a first-round pick. I think they got him mock at 14.
Yeah.
Tyrese Proctor's a pick. Jared McCain is definitely going to be a pick. Yeah. I don't know where, but he will be.
You could possibly see all 5 of their starters.
I really honestly could. There's no question about that. So, but I like to give coaches, no matter who they are, because the same thing could easily be said about Hubert for last year. Now, I'm not making this a Duke UNC back and forth, but Hubert last year, they turned down an NIT bid, but I have to give them credit the very next year with a couple of transfers. They're now on 1 seed, and they have a legit shot.
And on the NIT thing, you see there was like 4 or 5 teams that declined NIT this year.
I'm actually starting to like that trend.
Yeah, I think the NIT's done.
Well, I think it needs to be done. It's meaningless. It costs the schools tons of money. It jeopardizes a player's draft stock. You have more of a chance of injury. I mean, and what do you get if you win? You get a standing ovation for 5 minutes that people forget about.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I cannot name you only one NIT champion do I know from my lifetime. That's it.
I know Dayton because they beat UNC in 2010.
That's the only one I know too. So there you go. So yeah, I think it's a good move. It's kind of like the bowl games in college football. Like who really cares besides like the top games?
They need to go away too. If it wasn't for the revenue they generated, they would go away.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and get into the NCAA tournament, man.
Ready.
It's gonna be fun. Basically, we'll predict the winners of every first round game, not the play-in games. We're not gonna do that. So all 32 first-round games, and then we'll kind of talk about who our Final Fours are. We'll start in the East, I guess. Is that which one you're on?
I am on the East. I am, in my opinion, the bracket of death. My cohort here says otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's the second toughest, but I do. And it's kind of crazy because you get the number 1 overall seed, UConn, which is who we'll start with. UConn versus Stetson. Obviously, we're both going to pick UConn there. Probably by, 40 points possibly?
They'll let up. I'd say 30.
Okay, yeah.
The spread's 26.5.
They're covering.
if you're a gambler out there, go ahead and minus the
And
points.
FanDuel is legal here in North Carolina now, so there's that.
Jump all over it.
The 8-9 game though, Florida Atlantic and Northwestern. Florida Atlantic coming off the Final Four last year, maybe overranked this year. Last year I felt like they were underranked. This year maybe they're overranked this year as an 8 seed. They might not be that good, but who do you got winning that game?
I got Florida Atlantic because the reason is that I think they returned all but one or two starters.
Yeah.
So, and their coach is familiar with it. People forget how important coaching is in this situation too.
They got the
humongous.
Yeah, they got the next up and coming.
So I like the intangibles here for Florida Atlantic. Not that they're necessarily better than Northwestern, but they definitely got the intangibles.
Yeah.
Moving Florida Atlantic on.
And the fact that they've been here already helps out too. Northwestern, I don't know. They made the tournament last year, I believe, but they lost first round. Florida Atlantic also really could honestly be maybe a tough matchup for UConn in the second round.
Very tough matchup.
That's you as an overall number 1 seed, you don't want that. But yeah, I think Florida Atlantic pulls that out, and I think UConn and Florida Atlantic will be a great second round game. Next up, we got number 5. I'm just going to go straight down the bracket, by the way.
Run. Let's go.
Number 5, San Diego State. Number 12, UAB. Man, I'll be honest with you. UAB, a lot of people have love for them because they're a small school, and people want to see the small school succeed. San Diego State, Final Four team last year. They're back again in the tournament as a 5 seed. Probably pretty accurate, I feel like, with their ranking this year. I'm taking San Diego State to win just for the simple fact that, once again, they were there last year. They have the experience. UAB never really done anything in the tournament, so I'm taking San Diego State.
I am not taking San
Wow.
Diego State. I went UAB. I'm going to go ahead and tell you a couple of reasons. Number one, the 12-5 is the most lethal upset in this game.
There's always one.
There's more 12-5s than any other, except for last year. Last year was the only year we didn't have a 12-5 upset. But every year other than that, there are. Number one, I think San Diego State, from that letdown and lose it in the title game last year, might catch up to them.
Yeah.
Plus, they may also know that they're in the bracket with the team that beat them.
Yeah, and that's better this year than they were last year.
Yeah, they're a special team, no question.
Yeah.
So, and UAB, what do they have to lose? That's the biggest thing people forget. They have nothing to lose. Just they're expected to lose. San Diego State's obviously favored, but I'm taking it UAB on this one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're first one that we disagreed on, so keep that in mind there. Next up, we got 4 Auburn, 13 Yale. I think we both just agreed that Auburn's the best 4 seed, and this game's not going to be close. Yale did not look that good in the Ivy League. They got lucky, really, honestly, to even make the tournament. So, yeah, I think Yale just kind of blows them out. They're way too athletic for Yale.
I can't disagree. Auburn looked great in the SEC tournament. Well-deserved win for them.
Yes. And you talk about...
I say 20. I say 20 points. I think it's an absolute mugging.
Oh, I could see that, yeah. And I mean, you talk about good coaching, too. They have one of the best coaches in the nation as well. So they're going to have the coaching.
Pearl.
Yeah, so that game's not even going to be close. 6 BYU, 11 Duquesne. I mean, I'm taking BYU just because they got like 4 guys on their team that are like 25. So I feel like at some point that's got to play a factor at some point. But honestly, really, I think this game's a toss-up. You can flip a coin and take either way. I'm just taking BYU, like I said, just because I feel like experience, man. I feel like, they're grown men and Duquesne is playing with, actual college kids.
So I took some time and actually watched some highlights of pretty much every team, most teams. I mean,
glad you did your job.
I'm a boring nerd. What can I say? This is my favorite sport in the world, other than pool.
The best month of the year, as I would say.
The best month. Yeah. No, you are not wrong there. I got Duquesne, and I'm going to tell you why. They play fast. They play strong.
They do play fast.
They shoot a lot of threes. They make a lot of threes. This could be a really dangerous matchup for BYU, who is not a consistent team of getting there very often.
No.
When's the last time they were good? With Jimmer?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, and that team didn't even go that far either. I think they went to the Elite Eight. I've never seen them sniff a Final Four.
No, I think just Sweet 16.
Yeah, you might be right about that. But either way, I got Duquesne pulling another upset.
Yeah, and I could agree with that. Like I said, to me, that's a toss-up. I'm just going to go with the older guys. Next matchup, number 3, Illinois, number 14, Morehead State. I'm taking Illinois. They're riding high right now. They're playing good. I think that's another game that it might be surprisingly closer than people think, as in I think Illinois might only win by like 10 points, but I don't think it's ever going to be in doubt. Like, I'm going to be watching. I'm never going to be like, oh, Illinois might lose this game. No offense to Morehead State, I just feel like they're just outmatched.
I 100% agree with you. I will say, don't be surprised if Illinois comes out a little bit flat when you have a very emotional tournament win the way they did, especially, that game with Wisconsin was actually a tougher game than the score said.
For sure.
I mean, that game, honestly, until about the last 2 minutes, could have gone either way. So, but no, I do think their size, their strength, their toughness, which is a big key factor, is going to play. Yeah, experience is huge. They got an older team. I say Illinois I'm going to say about the 8 to 12 mark.
Yeah,
so average 10, of course.
Yeah. Next up, we'll have 7 Washington State and 10 Drake. Man, Drake is kind of the team that I feel like a lot of people are taking here. I think that's the darlings, I guess. There's always a double-digit seed that's a darling, and I think it could be Drake this year. But I'm going to go against that, and I'm going to take Washington State just because I feel like Washington State is they're the only Power 5 conference team that hasn't done anything in the last decade.
So you just think they're due?
I just think they're due. I think at some point you're a big school, you're due a big win. And I know this isn't a big win, but it's a tournament win. So I feel like they're just due. I just feel like Washington State is just due a win. And Drake is a smaller school, and usually smaller schools are small for a reason, and bigger schools are a bigger school for a reason. And I feel like it just literally will come down to Washington State somehow will pull it out. I think this could be this will be the best first round game, I think, in this bracket, though. So what do you got in that game?
I actually have Drake, and I'm going to tell you a reason why. I do not trust the Pac-12 except for one team, and I trust them limited.
Yeah.
I limited trust Arizona.
And they're not even Pac. We don't even count them as Pac.
No.
They're moving on next year, so they're. Yeah.
Right, but I question the toughness of that conference.
Oh, yeah,
I feel like if Arizona was in any other conference, they would not have got first in their conference.
No.
I really do not believe that.
No.
So that's why, the team that has nothing to lose, the darlings, like he said, I'm going to go Drake, but it wouldn't shock me in the least if Washington State got the win. That's for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that will be the best one. Last on the bracket is number 2 Iowa State and number 15 South Dakota State. Not going to be much of a game, man. Iowa State's going to beat them probably like I'll be surprised if South Dakota State gets to 50 points against that defense, honestly.
This is a tough team.
Yeah.
This Iowa State team. I didn't think it was possible to make Houston look stupid, but they did.
Oh, yeah.
Now, part of me wonders how motivated Houston was after the first 10 to 12 minutes of the game.
Exactly. I agree with that, too. It looked like they gave up halfway through the first half.
But they did play great defense. I mean, they shut down, Shed. They shut down a lot of their players, and they just poured it on. They wanted to win that, for sure.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think we both agree, though. Iowa State's just going to be way too much in that game. So let's move on to the next bracket, the West.
The West.
Which is on the same side as it's on the same side as the UConn bracket. I'm calling this the easiest bracket, by the way. I don't know if you agree with that, but I think it's the bracket.
But no, but it's close.
Okay. Well, let's start with so North Carolina is the 1 seed. They're going to play the winner of a play-in game, Howard and Wagner. I mean, North Carolina should win. I mean, a 16 doesn't win often.
The trolling will be unreal, but I just don't see it happening. All right, North Carolina has too many weapons.
Oh, yeah.
You got to remember, it's only 2 years ago they were removed from a title game.
Yeah.
With pretty much the same team for the most part.
Not at all, actually.
Well, they had Baycott, they had Davis.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, hey, they're still a strong team.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why. I keep thinking Leaky Black's on the team, and it's not.
He was there for like 10 years.
As most of your players are.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable win.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't
comfortable 20 to 25 point win. This next game, though, I think could be the best of the first round matchups, honestly. 8 Mississippi State, 9 Michigan State. I think that's just going to be a fun game. As I say, don't count out Tom Izzo. I don't care. They started the season off bad, but they were also a top 10 team at the start of the year. So people expect this team to be good, and I think they're starting to come into form at just the right time. And I'm taking Michigan State to win this game in a hard-fought battle. Okay. And I think it's going to come down to Tom Izzo just being the better coach and calling the right plays and knowing the correct moves to make down the stretch. So, I mean, yeah, Michigan State. And plus also, you just got to have Carolina play Michigan State in the tournament. Like, it happens a lot. So it's meant to be. Like, as soon as you saw them lined up together, I said, okay, well, Michigan State's winning that game because, well, again, they play. And one of Carolina's players, his dad is the assistant at Michigan State. So again, it has to happen. So who do you have winning that game?
Mississippi State.
Okay, so obviously you disagree with everything I just said.
All right, and this is going to be controversial. A lot of people tell me I'm crazy. I question if they should be there.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
Well, they lose 14 games?
Yeah.
I lost 14 games.
I was surprised that they made it, and I was shocked when they were the non-seed.
I think they got way too much credit. I mean, yeah, I do think Izzo he's an absolute Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I mean, first ballot. As soon as they can let him in, he'll be in.
Yeah.
And I love the storyline there. But this is what are they, an 8? No, they're a 9. This is a 9 seed to me that's on the 14 line.
They should have been in a play-in game.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I don't trust them.
No.
Outside of Purdue and Illinois, the conference is not that good. I mean, Wisconsin's solid, but I mean, they weren't really battle tested. They did blow Baylor out by 20 earlier in the year, but that Baylor team was a mess then.
Yeah, that was a
weird
game.
They're totally different now. So, no, I don't trust them, and I question their authenticity. There's a few things about this I question, but we'll keep going with that. But, no, I got Mississippi State moving on.
And it makes perfect sense because I do feel like Michigan State is they're the only single-digit team where I'm like, that is just wrong. But, again,
I have another one to argue with you with that, but we'll...
Again, though, this game literally just comes down to me is North Carolina and Michigan State are just guaranteed to play. It's just it's meant to be. And that's really...
Well, that's what the network wants. I can go ahead and tell you that's what the network wants to have.
Yeah, and that's what runs the bracket, too. Next game, number 5, St. Mary's, number 12, Grand Canyon. A lot of people don't believe in St. Mary's. They're kind of not playing the best right now, but I think they're not playing the best right now because they've been waiting for this. I think this is what they've been waiting for. I think they're ready to prove that Gonzaga isn't the only team from that conference that can win a NCAA tournament game. So I'm going to take St. Mary's, even though Grand Canyon might honestly be the better team in this matchup, which is weird because they're a 12 seed. But I feel like St. Mary's is going to want it more, and I feel like this is what St. Mary's has been waiting for. And there's got to be another team from out there other than Gonzaga. It's time for a new Cinderella story, and St. Mary's has been knocking on that door for a while, and I think it's time that they finally say, hey, we're here. So I'm taking St. Mary's.
I agree that there's definitely time for a new Cinderella story.
Yeah.
But it's not here.
Okay. All right.
And I know it sounds like I'm totally just contradicting everything this man's saying, but it's what makes it
That's what
fun.
we like it, yeah.
All right. These teams, outside of a couple of Gonzaga teams from the past, they always get in the tournament and they find a way to flop out.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is this Grand Canyon team that they're playing, other than being, have a great guard, they shoot well, they pretty much play the game the right way. This is the exact same type of team that St. Mary's has faced all year long.
Yeah.
Day in, day out.
Oh, yeah.
And they lost a number of those games.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Grand Canyon on this one. I think that, the aspect of not having anything to lose and everything to prove is going to be there. And I'm going Grand Canyon on this one.
And I don't see that as a problem at all because, like I said, I think Grand Canyon on paper might actually be the better of the two teams. One thing, though, that does hurt St. Mary's and Gonzaga and that conference in general is, they played their championship game of their conference tournament the day after Carolina Duke played to end the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a week behind. Like, they haven't played. They haven't played. Like, they've had an extra week of rest, and that, to me, that kills you in any sport other than football. I think football, you need that extra week.
Body has to heal.
But in basketball, in baseball, in hockey, I feel like you just can't have that long of a break. And I think that's what kills that conference every year. And they need to reschedule on how they do it. So yeah, I was just throwing that out there. But yeah, Grand Canyon, I don't think that's that big of an upset. It's a 5 and a 12, so it is. But I think on paper, if you really look at that matchup, it's not that big of an upset. Next matchup, here's one that I've seen a lot of people take the underdog as well. Number 4, Alabama, number 13, Charleston. I believe they're probably just going to take the same plane ride out there since they're pretty close to each other. But I'm taking Alabama. I don't think Alabama's a top team this year like they were last year, but I also feel like I think they got a great coach. Nate Oates is
Yeah,
phenomenal.
he is great. You're not lying there.
And it's just hard for me to see him not winning a tournament game as a 4 seed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he should be able to outcoach whoever the 13 seed is. So I'm taking Alabama in that one, even though, like I said, I think this is probably the number one game that I've seen a lot of the uh, people take as the upset. So I'm taking Alabama. Who you got in this matchup?
Charleston.
You got Charleston? Okay,
I do.
there you go.
I don't trust Alabama.
No.
It's that SEC thing.
Yeah.
There's 3 teams, and I'm really going to say 2 and then an honorable mention. 2 teams in the SEC I trust. 1 is Auburn, and 2 is Kentucky. I'm not quite sure how much I trust Tennessee right now.
There you
go. Okay?
Yeah.
Plus, they're also in what I think he's going to deem as the hardest bracket in the whole tourney. So, with all that being said, I'm not sure how much I trust them. I've watched this Alabama team lose some really dumb games and be as close games they should never be in. They're being where they're ranked and who they played. And I don't think it stops here. I think Charleston, there's one thing we said in a couple episodes ago is that I feel like you're going to have the number ones. And then you're going to have a whole bunch of double-digit seeds.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And this right here is my next one is Charleston right here.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think the middle of the field is definitely weak this year. We've been talking about that all year. Yeah, so another game that we disagree on right there. I like it. I do got, for what it's worth, I did have Alabama losing to St. Mary's in the second round, so there is that. And I don't even think that game will be close. I think if Alabama makes it to the second round, they're losing. Next up is 6, Clemson, 11, New Mexico. Clemson, I think, very surprisingly got in, and very surprisingly is a 6 seed. And somehow I got them winning this game. I hate myself for it because, man, I wanted so badly to pick against them, but then all I kept seeing in my mind was, hey, they won at Carolina, so maybe I should take Clemson. And yeah, I took Clemson, which basically means that they're going to lose. So sorry about that. Yeah, no, really,
Mexico's favored.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
No, not oddly enough, because Clemson should never be a 6 seed in this tournament. I mean, they were the 6 seed in the ACC tournament.
So so that's my beef I've had with this tourney so far. I feel like a lot of the seeding is actually right, except this one.
Oh, this is the worst.
So I need somebody to thoroughly explain. And I understand they went into Carolina and won. I got you. I hear you. But this is a team that finished behind Virginia. They finished behind them in the ACC tournament, lost to them head to head. But you 10 seed Virginia?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
It should have been flip-flopped.
Completely flip. I have Virginia on the 7, 8, 9 line, but either way, I mean, close enough. I'm fully with you. So that's why I have New Mexico covering the 1.5 point spread, which isn't that hard to do.
Just to prove a point that the committee obviously didn't pay attention to.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. I mean, I'm not going to act like I know a lot about New Mexico, but but I know a lot about Clemson.
I will. Yeah, I think either way, whoever wins that game is going to get their butts spanked by whoever plays next on this next matchup. Because next up is number 3 Baylor, number 14 Colgate, and I'm pretty sure we both have Baylor just probably walloping them. And then I think Baylor will wallop Clemson or New Mexico. So it's really a moot point on who we have winning. It's really just a matter of
cruising.
Yeah, it's really just a matter of which one of us is going to be correct on picking a game in the tournament. But yeah, I think so. We both got Baylor.
Yes.
I mean, Baylor might be the best 3 seed.
Okay, so you have Baylor as a 3 seed. You also have, I'd have to look, but
yeah, Baylor, Illinois.
Kentucky is questionable.
Kentucky's actually probably the best 3 seed.
I think so
and then
too.
Creighton.
Oh, I think Creighton's the best 3 seed.
Creighton could be pretty good.
So, sure. But either way, no matter where you rank Baylor as a 3 seed, I think they're a really good team. I think they're really, really hot. They did struggle against Iowa State, but so did everybody else in that conference tournament.
Yeah.
So I can't really hold that against them. I have actually watched them 5 or 6 times this year. Yeah. They are physical. Lot, They are athletic. They can shoot the ball. 15 or more. I think they win by 15 or more.
Oh, yeah, easily.
And I'm with you. I think they house according to my bracket, New Mexico.
Yeah.
So we will.
So there we go. We agree on one finally again. Next up, we have 7 Dayton and 10 Nevada. I feel like this is a game where it's kind of like maybe could be good, maybe could be a blowout. I'm really not sure. I do know I feel like it's going to be probably maybe the least watched game in the first round, possibly. But I got Dayton winning just because I feel like they're the more experienced team and Dayton's been on this borderline the last few years of, hey, we might be a top 25 team. And Nevada is just, they're not on that same level. So I'm taking Dayton to win this game.
I am too, and I feel like they got Dayton's seeding wrong. I think they're a 5-6 level team. I really do.
Yeah, they could be a little higher. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
They pretty much fringed around the 16 to 20 mark most of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they had a bad exit out of their conference tournament, but so did a lot of teams. So
I don't take that much stock in the conference
I'm
tournaments.
with you. It's only a 3 or 4 day, or in our case, a 5-day tournament.
Yeah.
I think Dayton. I don't know if they roll them, but I think they will get the win.
Yeah, like I said, I could see it going either way. I could see them winning in a blowout, or they could win in like a 3-point game that comes down to like free throws. Maybe the only overtime game in the first round. Who knows? But last one in that bracket: 2 seed Arizona, 15 seed Long Beach State. 15 seeds won recently the last couple of years. Maybe we see it again, but it's not going to be here. Arizona by, I don't know, pick a number. They're going to win by a lot.
I think you have a destiny matchup in this bracket that's bound to happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, 100%. I mean, and first off, Arizona, you talk about 2 and 15s last year. It happened last year. They lost to Princeton.
Yeah.
And but I don't see it happening again. I think Arizona absolutely houses them.
Yeah, I do too.
No matter how we feel about Caleb Love, he is a good player. That team is physical.
He plays great against teams like Long Beach State. Just saying.
He does, and against Duke.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of scoring capability on that team. They're, like I said, they're
really good.
Very, very versatile. So yeah, I see Arizona rolling.
They're a really good team, and they're possibly the best number 2 seed. Who knows? But yeah, I think we both got Arizona. So let's move on now to the South. Move on to the South. This is Houston's bracket. I feel like a decent bracket.
Mm-hmm.
But first round, you got Houston and Longwood. Houston. I think the question in this game is, will Longwood score 40 points?
No.
I don't think so either.
But will Houston score 70? No.
No. I think this Longwood might score the least amount of points in an NCAA game since pre-shot clock.
I see a 60-35 kind of game. I really do. Houston does play suffocating defense.
Oh yeah, Longwood might make 10 shots. I mean, and that's
but they'll probably also shoot 20 free throws.
Well, yeah, but that game's gonna be hard to watch, honestly, and Houston's gonna kill them. So let's move on to the 8-9 matchup.
I'm with you. No, I'm totally with you.
8-9, we have Nebraska and Texas A&M. Texas A&M probably the better team on paper. Texas A&M's looked pretty decent this year. Nebraska, I think, has never won an NCAA tournament game. So I'm taking Nebraska.
They did beat Purdue this year. They gave Purdue their first loss.
They beat them last year, too.
Yeah.
So that probably
means
nothing.
So did FDU.
Yeah. So
that plug.
Yeah. So that probably means absolutely nothing, actually, that they beat Purdue 2 years in a row. But I'm taking Nebraska. They deserve to have an NCAA tournament win. Texas A&M, Texas A&M's the better team for sure. And it would not surprise me at all if Texas A&M wins by 15 points. But I'm going Nebraska.
I'm going Texas A&M. I think the SEC battle test is going to prove worthy here.
Yeah.
Now, I did bash them a little bit ago, but you got to remember this is a Texas A&M team that had an absolute fight with Kentucky and Tennessee and Auburn and Alabama this year. So They know how to play against tough teams.
No, for
sure. I believe that's what's going to carry them through is their toughness. But, I also know Nebraska's not a bad team.
No, not at all.
At all. It wouldn't shock me at all. But I don't know. I just kind of trust the Texas A&M here. So that's where I'm rolling.
I agree with that. Texas A&M's had the harder regular season schedule, so they're more battle-tested. Another game that we disagree on, though, so there's that. Next up is number 5, Wisconsin, number 12, James Madison. I figure it's probably time for me to take a double-digit team win in this one, so I'm going to take James Madison, who, at one point, were they in the top 25? I know they were receiving votes for a while. Did they crack the top 25?
Yes.
They did, okay.
And as soon as they lost one game, they got put out. But how many games did they lose all season?
Yeah.
3 games.
Yeah, so I'm taking James Madison this. I just don't believe in Wisconsin. I mean, honestly, to me, ever since they lost that title game to Duke, I just gave up on Wisconsin. So I just feel like I mean, it would not surprise me if James Madison wins this one by double figures.
Wisconsin won their national championship when they beat Purdue in the conference tournament.
Yeah,
I believe that.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and lose to Illinois. Now, that was a tough game for them, but
yeah.
still. And I feel like it carries over. Plus, this JMU team is tough.
And they're really good, man. How are they a 12 seed? They were a top 25 team.
It's the notoriety part. I mean, it's just one of those things. And a team like this loses one game, they get cast down to the sodomites. They're out. I mean, and that's what happens, which
keep going.
We're having some technical difficulties that Justin's taking care of right now. But I don't want to say I'd be like just 100% surprised, but I would be a little surprised. I mean, everybody and their brother is taking JMU here, which can work against you sometimes. But no, that's where I got going. Plus, I just don't like Wisconsin.
Well, there you go. So there's that. I'm glad that we finally agree on a big upset, though.
All right, here we go.
Next one, number 4, Duke, number 13, Vermont. I have not picked Duke to win a game in my tournament bracket in like 20 years, so that will not change this year. I'm taking Vermont. I also, honestly, really feel like that's a tough matchup for Duke because Vermont plays a good style of basketball. So I'm taking Vermont, and then I just think it'd be cool to see a 12 and 13 seed play each other in the second round. So I'm taking Vermont, and honestly, I feel like they might win by like 6 or 7 points. So, Brandon, what do you think about your Duke?
I think that the spread is 11.5, and everybody and their brother, and if it wasn't for my heart status in this, you should take plus the points.
Oh, yeah.
No question. Now, I think Duke's going to get this by 2 or 3 points, and I'm going to tell you why. Duke has too many scorers and too much size against a smaller team.
Oh, there you go.
And I think that that's going to be the difference. So I do have Duke moving on in this game, but it will be an absolute scrap fest.
Yeah,
and
it's going to be a tough game.
Like we talked about right when the show started, Duke is a mess right now. It would not surprise me in the least if Vermont won this game. It really wouldn't.
Yeah.
Only if they won by like 20 or something would that surprise me. But would it surprise me if Vermont won? No.
Yeah, and even with me picking Vermont, that's just me just being.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Duke wins by 20.
That would actually surprise me a lot.
Vermont, like you said, they're smaller, so they're not as athletic either. They could get behind by like 10 or 15 and just kind of give up at some point.
You got to remember, Duke can splash 10 points in a minute.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. We will talk about our Final Four here in a little bit as we get there, but do you got Duke making it that far?
No.
No? Where do you have them
16.
losing? 16. There you go. All right, who do you have them losing to?
Houston.
Okay. There you go. Losing to the 1 seed. Nothing wrong with that. Next on our board, Texas Tech and the ACC tournament champions. First time I've said that in my life. NC State. It's weird that Duke and State are in the same bracket, by the way. I don't know what the committee was thinking there. But, I have Texas Tech winning this game, and honestly, I feel like they might win by a lot.
Same here, because I think the emotional high of what NC State did, which, believe it or not, especially for you, Jeremy Gathings, kudos to what they did, but I think it ends here. I mean, it is so hard to build back up. And this Texas Tech team is tough. Don't forget who they've had to face this year. Houston, Iowa State, Baylor, Kansas. Even as train wreck as they are, they're still good.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they are absolutely tested. So, I think I don't know if they house NC State, but I would say at least 8 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think
DJ Burns is still a handful to handle.
Yeah, but it's what he did against teams that he sees a lot. It's
huge.
I think the only other team to ever win 5 games in 5 days was that UConn team who had Kemba Walker, who was obviously a top 10 NBA draft pick. State doesn't have anybody like that.
No.
And I don't see them. Yeah, I don't see them winning a game.
I mean, their closest draft pick they could possibly have is DJ Horn.
Yeah. And it actually surprises me that State wasn't put into a play-in game, honestly. Like, I was kind of surprised. Like,
that would have just been an ultimate screw job. Five games in a row, then you get the playoff game, and then if you win, fly out to wherever.
Yeah, it would have been awesome. I would have loved it. I just thought it would have been comical. I wish that the committee would have done that. Let's move on to the number 3 seed, Kentucky, against number 4, Oakland. It's good to see Oakland back in the tournament. I remember when they were making it they made it for a few years there in a row. Kentucky is going to murder them. Kentucky is playing, I think, some of the best basketball in the country right now. I know they didn't win the SEC title, whatever, but yeah, Kentucky just they're that team.
Yeah.
They're that team, and I think they're gonna try to make a point in the first round or two, and it starts against Oakland. So I'm sorry, Oakland, but I'm taking Kentucky to win this game.
I'm definitely taking them too, but this is also where I see youth show up.
Oh yeah, they are young. Yeah.
Youth shows up
Yeah.
big time, always in the first half of your first tournament game. So don't be surprised if this is a 2-3 point game at half. Matter of fact, I'm expecting it.
Yeah.
Now, I do expect Kentucky to keep going, pull away, get comfortable, figure it out. And I'd say 10.
Yeah.
10
Okay.
to 12. I don't think they blow them out of the gym,
Yeah.
but no, I do think they definitely win.
All right, so we both agree on that.
Yeah.
Next up, Florida, who will be playing a play-in game winner, Boise State and Colorado, which I think will probably be the best play-in game. I mean, who do you got Florida beating one of those teams? I got Florida winning just for the simple fact that I just think it's hard to win the play-in game and then go and win a game. But I really think any of those matchups, whether it's Florida and Boise State or Florida and Colorado, that's a tough matchup. And man, it's a coin flip. You got a 3-sided coin that we can just flip to see who wins but I picked Florida. I mean, just out of soul, I had to pick somebody, I guess.
I think they're severely overranked.
Yeah.
I think they should be on the 10, 11, 12 line.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, obviously there is, some fatigue factor, but there's also another thing about, playing a game a couple days before. You also get your rhythm down.
Oh, yeah.
So I am actually going to take BSU/Colorado to take down Florida.
Which one do you got, though? You got to pick one. You can't just say.
I'm going to take Colorado.
Okay,
I think they play a much tougher schedule, and they're going to be battle tested.
There you go.
So I'm going to take Colorado to take them and to take down Florida.
There you go. I like it.
I don't think Florida's that good.
No, I agree. And, honestly, a lot of years there is a play-in game that wins. A winner that will win the first round. So
yeah, but they're not all VCU to pull off the ultimate shocker in the world.
So yeah, I mean, I could see one of those teams beating Florida, but I chose Florida, and I don't think it really matters who wins that game because next up on our matchup is number 2 Marquette, number 15 Western Kentucky. Marquette's going to win that game, and then Marquette's going to win whoever we had in that previous matchup. So I got Marquette beating Western Kentucky.
I say by 25 or higher.
Yeah.
I am a believer in this Marquette team.
Absolutely. Shaka Smart, one of the best coaches in the league, doesn't get enough credit, I don't think, and I think it's time for him to make another run.
I understand that they have 9 losses, but I am going to throw something out there. 3 of them are to the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to play the manipulating game, in my opinion, they have 6 legit losses.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I think actually Marquette is a 2 seed. I don't think they even get enough credit. I feel like nobody's even talking about them when they should be talking about them.
I feel like they're going to have a lot to say about them this year.
Absolutely, 100%. So last up, our last region here, we got the Midwest bracket, the Purdue region, which I think is the toughest one actually. I guess you didn't agree, but I think this is the toughest one.
I have them second. I have it the second toughest. Believe it or not, I think Duke's bracket's the easiest.
Maybe, possibly. I think they have a lot of underranked teams, but they also have a lot of teams that are about the same. They're all just overranked. But yeah, let's go ahead and do this region really quick. We've got Purdue versus a play-in game winner. Purdue ain't losing 2 years.
Not 2 years in a row. I don't believe it.
Yeah, and honestly,
I feel like they're going to prove a point.
Yeah, I was going to say, it might not even be close, man. I don't think there's really much to say about this game, honestly. I think, and also just the fact that they're playing a play-in game team, I think also is just kind of, makes it a little easier for them too. So I'm going to take Purdue. So let's just go ahead and go to the 8-9 matchup, Utah State and TCU. Mm-hmm. I think TCU is a little underranked here. I think TCU might be better than a non-seed, and they might even be able to give Purdue a little trouble in the second round. Utah State, an experienced team, a team that's played pretty well in the regular season, but again, Utah State, kind of a small school, and what have I said about small schools? They're small for a reason.
Yep,
TCU, not a big school, but TCU does play with the big schools.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking TCU to win this.
I am too, actually, because they have great wins this year.
Absolutely.
Plus, they fringed for a lot of the season between that 15 and 20 mark. So seeing them as a 9 seed is a little shocking. Like, to me, this is more of your 6-7 line.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, I got TCU, and I mean, it'll be close. I don't think I don't think the teams are that far apart.
Yeah,
but
this could be a good game for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. So next up on line, number 5 Gonzaga, number 12 McNeese. They're not McNeese State anymore. They're just McNeese.
Just McNeese.
And McNeese is playing really good. They got Will Wade as their coach, one of the best coaches in America. Gonzaga, obviously, with Mark Few, still one of the best coaches in America. Gonzaga, first time in a while, they've been kind of low in the bracket. I just feel like Mark Few ain't going to lose a first-round game. So I think I think he just out-coaches Wade a little bit here. But I think this could be the most exciting 5-12 matchup. And honestly, I think whoever wins this game, honestly, will probably make a run to the Sweet 16. So I'm going to go Gonzaga in this game here.
I did not go Gonzaga. I don't have any 5 seeds getting out of the first round this year.
You pick all 4 upsets. Yeah.
I did. And it's not because I have anything against Gonzaga. I certainly don't.
Yeah.
I do like Mark Few. I wish there were more coaches like Mark Few.
They are playing their best ball right now, though. I will throw that.
They have definitely. I mean, they did lose their conference final, but that's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't win every single game.
No.
But this McNeese team is good, man.
Yeah.
They move. They shoot. How many? I think they shoot more threes.
Yeah,
I think them and Grand Canyon shoot more threes than any team, which can also be their demise just as fast.
Exactly.
But they're a fast team. They have a really good point guard. They're gonna be tough, and I think they're gonna get out of it.
Well, there you go. We disagree on that one, I think, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if McNeese wins. I think Will Wade probably leaves to get another job after this tournament, anyways, and you probably never hear from McNeese again for a while. Next up, number 4, Kansas, number 13, Samford. Kansas playing really bad right now. Kansas has a couple of injuries right now. Samford, not too bad of a team, honestly. This matchup could be kind of bad for Kansas. Bill Self, though, will not lose in the first round. I think he's done with that. He did that a lot early in his career. So I'm going to take Kansas.
I could hear the reluctance in your voice there.
Yeah, I mean, I really. Well, to me, this was picking which team's going to lose to Gonzaga. Really, was just my thinking.
This is actually the team I trust the least in this whole tournament, seeded 5 and higher.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I would usually agree with you if it wasn't for the influx of injuries that Kansas has right now. I mean, they are. I mean, they're honestly living on a prayer with the way that they got. I mean, Houston absolutely rolled them over. It didn't let them do anything.
It wasn't even close.
And how motivated are they to play? Now, I get it. I love Bill Self. Yeah. He's actually my favorite NCAA coach right now.
Yeah.
Like, if I could trade Shire, if you told me I could trade Shire and I could have one coach of any team, it's Bill Self.
Well, I think almost any team in America would probably trade their coach for Bill Self, I would imagine.
I would say so. I mean, you got a handful of teams otherwise, but Bill Self would be my guy. But how motivated are his players to go through? They know that they're not going to go any further. This reminds me of Virginia 5 years ago when DeAndre Hunter, that's his name?
Yeah, DeAndre Hunter.
DeAndre Hunter
broke his hand in the ACC.
Broke his hand in the ACC tournament, and they ended up losing in the first round to a 16 seed, made history.
Yeah, they gave.
There was no motivation.
Yeah.
I can see the same exact thing happening here. As a matter of fact, I do see it happening here. So I'm either going to be a genius or an absolute goat with my bracket this year, one or the other. Well, and I don't mean goat in a good way.
I like it. Next up, I think, could be another great first-round matchup here, and I'm actually excited to watch it. And I think it's another coin flip game here, which a lot of these first-round matchups are this year. South Carolina and Oregon. I'm probably just going to take South Carolina just because, they're a team that's due. I think they're due a win in the NCAA tournament. Oregon, on the other hand, coming from the Pac-12 or the Pac-8 or the Pac-2 or whatever, however many teams are out there now, it's such a weak conference that they play in that it's hard for me to see them being battle tested. Whereas South Carolina has played everybody this year, so I'm taking South Carolina. But I really think this honestly might be. I'm not saying these two teams play perfect, but I think just exciting. I think it's going to be an exciting game, and it's going to be really close. And I think South Carolina pulls out a squeaker.
I am also taking South Carolina, but I actually think South Carolina rolls a little bit in this game.
Yeah.
This team is good. They got really good guard
Oh
play.
yeah.
I think that they are okay. So I think their seeding is right because they have played such a tough schedule. But at the same time, I do not believe in this Oregon team. Plus, I can see an emotional letdown after them winning their conference tournament the way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they beat Arizona, but I think Arizona was more focused now
Oh
than
yeah.
they were about the Pac-12 or
Well,
Pac-42 or whatever tournament they call it now.
yeah. Plus Arizona has Caleb Love, who has just never won any kind of championship. So
Never
there's
won
that. Yeah.
anything, so he's
So that was
not
kind of like
worthy.
a guaranteed win for Oregon. I feel like.
Yes,
Um.
so
So you take South Carolina.
I do. I'm
Nice.
going with you on that one.
Nice. Next up, number 3, Creighton. Number 14, Akron. Uh, Creighton's been my underdog horse all year, and I'm not going to stop it now. So I think Creighton rolls to a victory against Akron.
I do too. I got them going a good distance.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too.
So yeah, I think they are good. They're
Yeah.
okay. So they're one of the only few teams that actually handled UConn this year.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
if you think for a second this team's going to be afraid of Akron
Yeah.
after dealing with UConn and Marquette and other really great teams this year, yeah, I got Creighton housing Akron.
And Creighton was, a couple points away from making the Final Four last year, so they're on a mission, I feel like. Next up is number 7, Texas, against one of the play-in game winners. Do you got one of the play-in game winners?
Yes.
Well, which one do you got?
Virginia.
You got Virginia? Really?
Yes.
Wow.
They lost to a hot state team. I mean, so did everybody in the ACC.
Yeah.
I still think because all right, so this Virginia plays a type of defense and a type of game that's actually good for them in the NCAA tournament, with the exception of the bonehead mistake their player made last year against Furman. This is a team that usually makes a good run because Tony Bennett is an excellent coach.
Yeah.
All right, I think he's the best coach in the ACC. That's arguable, but I still think that he is. And I think that their game is designed to wear teams like Colorado State and Texas down. So yeah, I got Virginia doing the thing.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that, but I took Texas to win. I don't think Virginia beats Colorado State though, but I just think I don't know. It's just hard for me to pick a play-in game winner to win, so I'm just gonna go Texas. That was a tough one for me to pick. A lot of these games have been tough for me to pick, honestly. And then the last one of the first round that we're talking about is number 2, Tennessee, number 15, St. Peter. St. Peter's back in the tournament, baby. It's not going to last long this time, though, because I think Tennessee's really good. So Tennessee's going to win that game.
But yet, for whatever reason, I just have trust issues with them. But yeah, I'm sorry. I don't see the St. Peter's run of 2 years ago happening again.
No.
What they get, the Elite Eight?
Yeah.
Lost to North Carolina? Yeah. So, no, I think it ends here. I don't think you have a 2-15 this year.
No, I don't think so either. All right, so that concludes our first round of predictions there. Let's move on to let's kind of just roll from the Elite Eight. You want to go from the Elite Eight?
Let's go from the Elite Eight. That's a great way to do it.
Let's go back to the East here really quick. You got the East pulled up?
I can pull the East up right here to, yes.
Right, so really quick, I got UConn over Iowa State.
Same here.
Wow. Okay.
Identical. Yes.
I just think UConn. Well, I've said all year long, I think UConn might be the best team, and I don't. As good as defense as Iowa State plays, I don't think they have the offense to win this game. So I'm taking UConn.
UConn has every single possible ingredient you can to make the best tasting cake you could ever eat.
Yeah.
And then there's always that secret in there that the baker does not tell you.
Yeah.
That's the UConn team.
For sure.
Now, there is this might sound strange, but if you really think about it, it makes sense. They do have a little bit of a thing against them right now. They got a target on them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're the current champ.
Yeah, and it's been 18 years since a team won 2 in a row.
Yeah, Florida. Florida's the last team to do it.
So, and then the time before that, it was like 14 years. So it doesn't happen too often. But
Florida, and then before that, it was Duke.
Yeah, so that means we're kind of due. So we both got UConn going into the Final Four. In the West now, I got number 1 versus number 2 again. I got North Carolina over Arizona. Well, we're kind of chalk here so far, man.
Same.
You get the same North Carolina over Arizona as well. There you go. We're both kind of going chalk here. 2 number 1 seeds beating 2 number 2 seeds. I don't see Caleb Love beating his team, his former team, and also just I don't know, man. It's North Carolina is a better overall team. I think Arizona's got a couple of flaws, and also again, I think it really just comes down to I just don't have faith in Caleb Love, but I have faith in RJ Davis. So there's that.
All right. Full disclosure, I had a really hard time picking Arizona over Baylor. a really,
Yeah.
really hard time.
And
The only reason that I did so
yeah,
is because Arizona can actually score the ball better than Baylor can. And I think that as long as Caleb Love doesn't shoot him out of a game and he lets the big men and the forwards do their job, I think they're just, I don't know if Baylor can score enough to keep up with
no,
Arizona.
for sure. Yeah,
So, but I do believe that North Carolina's speed, Elliot Cadeau, R.J. Davis, Harrison Ingram, that whole cast of
they're
characters,
too strong for Arizona.
I think they're way
Yeah.
too strong. They're older, I think, and I also think that, and here's the biggest factor, I'm sure you'll agree, maybe you will, maybe you won't. I think it'll actually be too emotional for Caleb Love.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, he obviously hates how it ended, and sometimes, because I've noticed this by playing pool, when I get up against a player I really don't like,
Yeah.
or I think I should absolutely beat them, and then I
Makes it
let the
tougher.
emotion always makes
Yeah.
it tougher. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And I think North Carolina, I say by 10. I think they get them good.
Yeah.
I really,
yeah.
really do, actually.
Yeah, I think it ends up being somewhere around there as well. And yeah, I could have, if it wasn't for the fact that the winner of Arizona and Baylor played Carolina, I probably would have picked Baylor. If I would have had a different team in Carolina's spot, I probably would have picked Baylor. But
Hmm.
it's too hard not to pick Arizona and Carolina to play each other.
Baylor just has problems where they go through lulls without scoring.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
they play great defense and they're a huge rebounding team, but
Yeah.
that's going to be their demise.
No, agreed. So let's move on to the South here.
South. All right.
Once again, I got number 1 seed in the Elite Eight. I got Houston, and then I got them playing a 3 seed, Kentucky.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
They're
I changed up a
different.
little bit. Yeah. And honestly, I didn't want to pick Houston to make it this far, but I feel like the bracket is just too easy for them not to make it this far.
Fully
And,
agree with you.
But I think this is where it stops for them. I got Kentucky beating Houston. I think Kentucky's just. I think they're on a hot streak, man, and I think Calipari. It's just time that he gets back there, man. I think he's too good of a coach and has too good of players not to get back to the Final Four. So I take Kentucky over Houston, man.
I agree with you that I think Houston's going to lose in the Elite Eight,
Okay.
but I don't think it's to Kentucky.
Oh wow, so a different game.
We do. I
Right.
have Marquette going to the Final Four. I think this team is just good.
Yeah.
This team is actually, in my opinion, a better. They're a poor man's UConn, and they're a great version of Kentucky. They shoot the ball well. They run fast. They're very well coached. Shaka Smart is not talked about enough.
No.
Don't be surprised if you see him in the league one day.
Nah,
You don't think
he's a college coach for sure.
And he's good at it, but
Yeah, he already had his chances, I think, to go to the NBA. But no, I think Marquette's a good choice too. And honestly, I think the winner of Kentucky and Marquette will be. Well, I have Kentucky and Marquette playing.
Sure.
But I think the winner of that makes the Final Four. I think that's the Final Four. I think that's the winner of the Final Four more so than the winner of Houston versus one of those teams. So
I think Houston's going to have a harder time with Texas A&M than they will with Duke, assuming Duke gets there.
yeah, I mean, I didn't have.
I mean, it's not a
Yeah.
guarantee, of course, but
See, we disagreed on so much of that bracket because I mean, I didn't have Houston playing Texas A&M or Duke. I had them playing Nebraska and then James Madison. So there.
and listen, that is 100% possible. So
That's why.
mean,
That's why I said Houston had an easy route to the Elite Eight. Like I don't believe in Houston. I just don't believe in them. I don't think they can score enough. They play amazing defense, but I don't think it's amazing enough to make up for the fact that they just can't score.
I'm really good about making picks with my brain.
Yeah.
I believe in it,
Ah, yeah.
especially with all the betting I've done in my past. Not really now.
FanDuel legal in North Carolina.
I know. But my heart picked Duke to the Sweet 16 just
Yeah.
because they're my boys. I don't want.
And there's nothing wrong with that, yeah. And
Well,
they could easily make the Sweet 16.
They could.
Once
Well, I
upon
don't
a-
want to say it easily.
Well,
I don't know
not
about
but it
easily
wouldn't be
get there,
it wouldn't
but
be a
no,
big
you're
deal.
right. It would not.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, according to the seedings, they're favored to get to the Sweet
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
But okay, Duke relies on one thing: scoring, and Houston could not be a worse matchup
Oh no.
in
Yeah.
that department.
Yeah.
Like Duke might score 55 points.
Man, I don't.
I might be generous there. I really might be.
Yeah.
But I see that game going about the 68 to 58 mark.
Yeah, and I got Houston winning 3 games. I don't think in any of those 3 that their opponent scores 50. But I think when they lose in Kentucky, I think Kentucky breaks 60.
It could happen.
All right, so the last region here, the Midwest,
All right.
we have once again I have a 1 seed again. I have Purdue versus a 3 seed again, Creighton. So I have Purdue and Creighton. I'm taking Purdue. It's so hard for me not to pick them in the Final Four. I've said since day one that they're a top 2 team. I have not deferred from that. even when they've lost a couple of times, I've not said, oh, they're not a top 2 team. Zach Edey, the best player in college basketball. Now the NBA starting to see it. He's being projected as a lottery pick now.
Yeah, should be.
I want Creighton to make the Final Four because they've been my underdog all year. I like Creighton. I think they got a couple really good pieces. I think they play great as a team, but just a bad matchup for them, man. So I'm taking Purdue.
I would have taken. By the way, we have the same. We have once again
So 3.
We disagreed a lot in the first round, but we got 3 out of 4 right in the Elite Eight. I do have Purdue over Creighton and a tough physical matchup, but Zach Edey's just going to be too much.
Yeah.
I will say if Creighton had been in with Houston, I would have picked Creighton. I actually would have picked Creighton over Marquette and Kentucky.
Yeah.
I really would have,
Yeah.
but that's not how the bracket played out. So I do have Purdue winning in a tough-nosed physical game. Plus,
Creighton just got the wrong bracket.
They did.
Yeah.
They really did.
That matters a lot in this tournament sometimes. Let's move on to our Final Four now, buddy.
Ready.
So I got 3 1 seeds and a 3 seed, which it should be the same as you, correct?
No, I remember. I took Marquette.
Yeah, I took Marquette. So
you took Kentucky.
So yeah, I got UConn, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Purdue.
All right.
You have?
I have UConn, North Carolina, Marquette, and Purdue.
There you go. So we're almost the exact same. Chalk, which is what we've been saying all year, that the top of the teams are good and the rest of the teams just aren't. So
and I don't think it'll be any different here.
So it's not surprising at all. So the first game, UConn, North Carolina. Man, listen, man, in the Final Four, I'm not going to pick against North Carolina, so I'm taking North Carolina to win. UConn also already beat them this year. It's hard for me to see a team beating another good team twice in 1 year, and Carolina's a lot better now than they were in early December, late November. So I'm just taking Carolina in this game, man. But I do think, honestly, I think both these Final Four games are going to be epic. So it would not surprise me if this is a 5-point game either way, but I'm taking Carolina, and I'm probably picking with my heart at this point just because, I can't be down to 4 teams and not pick Carolina. So I'm taking Carolina over UConn.
I always, with the exception of Duke going to the Sweet 16 I do this with my brain. I study. I don't let my hate for a team determine if they're good or not. This UNC team is really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're strong. But their road ends here. Their road ends here against, in my opinion, a legitimately better team in every department except for maybe RJ Davis.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like that's if you have to put all their players against each other, I'm going to take every UConn player on that team, especially Tristan Newton, especially Donovan Clingan, all those monsters, except for R.J. Davis.
The Klingan's not even close. He's way better than Baycott.
and Tristan Newton should, in my opinion, be a top 5 pick.
He's better than Elliot Cadeau right now.
So, and they are a bigger team. They're more physical.
Yeah.
They've been there. They know exactly how to do this. They score the ball well. And even, by the way, even when they play in tough defensive games, they can do that too.
Oh, they
are so good at adjusting to the other team's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And I credit Danny Hurley for that. He's done an incredible job up there. But I am with you about the 5-6 point game, but not in your favor. I'm going UConn winning.
And I've said UConn again has been a top 2 team all year, so it's I'm not going to be sad at all if Carolina loses that game.
But you did make a good point, with the exception of UConn beating Marquette, another great team, 3 times this year. It would not shock me if North Carolina did find a way to win that game. Okay, it might shock me slightly, but it wouldn't just shock me if, let's say, Duke were in that position. I would be really shocked.
Oh, yeah.
But not as much with North Carolina. I think they got bracketed against the one team. If you would put North Carolina on the other side with the other 2, I'd have them in the final.
Well, there you go.
I really would. That's no exaggeration.
Yeah.
But I just think that they're matched up with the one most horrendous matchup that team can face.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think the winner of UConn and Carolina is your national champion. But let's move to the other side of the Final Four. I have 3 Kentucky and 1 Purdue. I got Purdue winning that game. I think Kentucky just has no answer for Zach Edey, and I feel like just Purdue's on a mission. I've said that since the beginning of the year. They lose to a 16 seed. They bring everybody back. It's literally the Virginia storyline all over again. So it's hard for me not to say that Purdue wins this game. And also, it's just very hard for me to pick Kentucky to win also.
I'm with
The
you.
fact that I have them this far is actually hurting my heart right now. But
How do you think I feel about North
yeah,
Carolina?
yeah. But so I got Purdue winning this game. I just think Purdue is just they're one of those college teams where it's like, holy cow, like this is not a college team. This team is they're what you want. Like if your team could be Purdue every year, I would take that. If every year if Carolina was this Purdue team, I'd be like, this is great. Like we have a chance to win every year. We're experienced. We're athletic. You have a dominant big man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great team. And Kentucky's just too young, man. I feel like at some point that plays a huge factor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never been able to win with a young team. I mean, he won one. Calipari won one title. You know what I'm saying? He has a young team every year. He's won one title, and that was only because he had the best defensive player since Hakeem Olajuwon. So I'm taking Purdue to make it to the finals.
And I have Purdue over Marquette as well.
Yeah.
I do. And you are completely right about the youth because the 2019 Duke Blue Devils are the best team to not make a Final Four.
To not make final? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a debatable topic.
Yeah.
The best team to never make a Final Four
Yeah.
was that team. And why? Because they panicked.
Yeah.
And I don't say this very often. I think Coach K got out-coached a little bit in that game, too.
I don't think he even coached at all.
He may not have, as he knew that team was gone after the fact. But and albeit 5 years ago, you are right about Purdue being on the mission. If people think that they have forgotten about the FDU loss, that's probably the number one most motivating thing in that locker room.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's going to drive them to the title game.
Yeah.
Against, in my opinion, probably one of the best title games that we're going to see.
Yeah, I mean, so your title game is UConn and Purdue, which all year long we've said are the best two teams. Also, they have the best big men. And yeah, I think that could be the best title game we have probably seen. I think the last best title game, that would probably be the best one since Carolina beat Illinois in 2005, in my opinion. Because you had an Illinois team that I lost one time, a Carolina team that I lost 3 times, and, 9 NBA players in that game or whatever it was. Yeah, that game
better than Villanova, North Carolina, and I'm not bringing up the shot for that reason. I just thought that was an incredible game.
It was an incredible finish. I think a lot in the middle.
Enough.
A lot in the middle. Those teams really were not as good as people think they were. Like I think Villanova's second team that won the title 2 years later.
Oh, 2018 team was unbelievable.
Yeah, and that was a great finish. But I think a lot in the middle was kind of iffy. But I could see. I mean, it could be up there for great games. But we'll talk about my championship first.
Yeah, of course.
Let's talk about yours because yours is probably way more likely. But I got Carolina beating Purdue just because, again, I'm not going to pick against Carolina in the title game. But also,
you have a good reason to not pick against Carolina.
Well, also, really, honestly,
good.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it's a bad matchup for Purdue. Other than Edey, I think Carolina is better at every position. I
agree with that.
I think they're deeper, and at some point,
faster.
Yeah, at some point, Matt Painter, I don't know how great of a coach he is. He gets there a lot, but he loses to a lot of teams he shouldn't. So I got Carolina winning 87-78. Yeah, I mean,
listen, nothing about that is shocking to me. It really is not. I mean, I could absolutely see North Carolina scoring 80 or more points in every game they play.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, if Carolina loses to any of these teams, it will be like 90-80. It's not going to be 70.
It's because they'll shoot the way they shot in the NC State game in the finals.
Yeah.
Where Carolina couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat.
Yeah.
That would be the reason that
they
would
score
lose.
70 points though.
Amazing that they could. I mean, I've never seen a team. I'm sitting here thinking, why couldn't they shoot like this against Duke? They would have lost.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you though. I don't know what ball they were using in that AC tournament game, but I don't think Carolina liked that ball at all because they didn't shoot good at all in any of those 3 games.
And they had a hard game with Pitt too, to be fair. So it's not like they just walks through it.
No.
So
yeah, I got Carolina winning against Purdue. Call me a homer, call me whatever, but I got 2 1 seeds playing, which I would love to see. I love to see Final Fours with top teams. Yeah. I love to see the upsets, but at the end of the day, I want the best teams in the finals. So congratulations to Carolina. They're my champions. We'll see if I'm correct. Now let's move on to yours. What could be one of the greatest games ever.
Believe it or not, you may have some homerism there, but it's actually justified. Like if I were to put Duke in the title game to win it, that'd be homerism.
Yeah, I feel like we would all.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I'm not. I'm used to that. That's totally fine. You're probably laughing about the Sweet 16 right now.
Not really. No.
I actually have UConn taking Purdue, but in an epic.
There you go. Yeah.
Epic finish. I have 82-80.
Oh, wow. You did pick close.
I do pick close
Yeah.
because I think it's going to come right down to the end. And I think that the best player on the entire floor, Tristan Newton, is going to be the difference. Plus, they have what, two or three bodies that can bang around with Edey.
And that's the key. Yeah.
That's a big
Yeah.
key. Plus, they have better guards.
Yep.
They have way better guards than get in there. I think Zach Edey scores 30 or 35 points because he's going to have to. And I think Purdue is going to be so motivated to win this thing, they're going to play above their heads.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get to that point, you're in such good rhythm that you will obviously play better ball then than you would at any point in the season because you're playing for the biggest prize of college basketball. But I think it will be a nail biter, but I just trust the current and soon to be six-time and back-to-back national champion UConn Huskies 82-80.
It's crazy that UConn would have 6 titles. I'm going to make a score prediction. I think UConn beats them as well, but I want to say score prediction 98-94 in overtime.
With Purdue?
UConn
Or in
wins.
general? Yeah.
UConn wins 98-94 in overtime. That's my prediction.
That's not a bad. I mean, with overtime, sure.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be an offensive game, and
big time.
As much as I mean, obviously, I would love for Carolina to win on so many levels. But if it's not Carolina, then I hope that's the finals because that's the matchup we all been wanting to see all year long.
I think you got a real good shot of it, man. I mean, I know it's real easy to pick the teams that have been the two best teams the whole season and put them in this thing.
Well, it's not often that we have two best teams.
Yes.
I think this is the first time in a while where honestly I can remember where it's like, hey, those are the two best teams. And they stick to it all year. So I'm excited to see how it plays out. But it'll be a fun tournament. I think we're going to see a lot of good games. So, yeah, any last thoughts there, Brandon? You got UConn, I got Carolina. We'll see how our brackets can do.
My last thoughts is when we come back to the show after Monday night, April 8th, and we do, the recap of this, is how wrong we were in so many departments and how many teams lost.
Yeah, I mean, what did we? I mean, I think we each got like 2 games correct in the ACC tournament prediction. So, yeah, it could be bad.
Hey, yikes! But I don't think we are, Justin. I think well, I mean, in the first, second round, you don't know, but
no, yeah, you went a lot of upset wise. I went a lot of chalk just because.
But I'm sticking to what you and I agreed with a month and a half ago. That you're going to have the cream's going to rise to the top.
Yeah.
The best teams are going to be there.
It's that kind of year where the top is the top and there's no middle. There's a lot at the bottom, and I just don't see. I see a lot of first round upsets, but after that, it's just going to be like it wouldn't surprise me if the Sweet 16 is nothing but 5s and above, like 1 through 5.
Well, okay,
yeah,
1 through. I was about to say, really?
Like it wouldn't surprise me if the Sweet 16 is just all the teams 1 through 5 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like no big surprises. Like last year, we had so many surprises because there were no good teams last year. I don't think. Like UConn winning, I think, was a surprise last year. This year, UConn, if they win, not a surprise. Any number 1 seed, really. Like Houston could be a little bit of a surprise, but even the 2 seeds, you could name a 2 seed. If a 2 seed wins this year, I'm not going to be surprised.
I agree with that. I would be a little surprised if it was Arizona.
Yeah, just because of the Caleb Love thing.
I think their bracket's a little tougher than people realize, too. I mean, that Baylor team, like I said, that was I really had to bear down and think about that one.
Which I was about to say, too. Even if a 3 seed wins, I really wouldn't be that shocked.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because there's a lot of good 3 seeds. I mean.
Especially if it's Creighton.
Yeah. Or Kentucky.
Yeah. I'll go with Kentucky. Well, okay. I would be shocked a little bit just because of the youth factor.
Yeah.
But not by the talent factor.
No, yeah.
The talent factor, they definitely have.
They got 6 guys that are going to be in the NBA at some point.
Throw me and I know I'll put all of them out, so I can't really. Throw me a 5 or a 6 seed or higher you think can make noise and get to Phoenix.
All right. 5 or 6. All right, hold on.
You can name anybody you want, but
okay. So let me go back and look here. I'm gonna go back and look. Hold on. Man, dude, that's gonna be tough to say. A 5 or 6 seed or higher that could get somewhere.
They could possibly get to Phoenix. We're gonna dark horse this a little bit.
Jesus, sadly and crazy enough, it's a team that you picked to lose in the first round. Gonzaga would be my choice.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think Mark Few's too good of a coach, man, and I think them flying under the radar this year might actually help him out. because he's proven that he can coach really good underdog teams, and maybe it's the problem with him coaching favorite teams. So I think Gonzaga would probably have to be my dark horse then. I don't yeah.
I like it.
Who's yours?
South Carolina,
There you go. South Carolina, they made a Final Four not too long ago.
2017.
Yeah. So there you go. That would not be a surprise at all. They're playing hot right now too.
Playing smoking hot, and they also, I mean, they're just a good team with tons of athleticism, and they play and they have another. He's a young coach, but he's a good coach.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my dark horse outside of the top 5 seeds to get there. It's going to be South Carolina.
I like it. Now let's one last question before we leave.
Love it.
If a 1 seed loses in the first weekend, which one do you think it will be?
Houston.
Yeah, I agree. They just can't score enough, man. They really can't.
As a matter of fact, if I had the right odds, I would actually take that action.
Yeah.
Because Texas A&M is going to be a pain in their rear end.
Yeah.
Or Nebraska.
Yeah, or Nebraska. Yeah, because I got Nebraska playing them. Either way, I think it'll be a fun, exciting weekend. Tournament technically starts tonight with the play-in games.
Cannot wait.
I guess I'll be watching because Carolina plays the winner of one of those teams. So
I'll have it on just because I hope it's close. If one team starts pulling away, I'll probably turn on Law and Order until the Virginia game comes on.
Yeah, I got a fantasy baseball draft to do, so I'll be doing that as I'm watching the game because baseball starts tomorrow, by the way.
Man, that was fast.
Yeah. Go Dodgers, by the way. So good blue, bad blue. This has been fun. Y'all look us up on YouTube on the Podcast Hell channel. Look us up on Spotify. Good blue, bad blue for Brandon over there. I'm Justin over here, and we will check you later.
See you in 3 weeks.